All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and I hope you are having an amazing start to your day and to your week. So, today, I wanted to talk a little bit more about goal setting and what might be holding you back from achieving those goals. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? We talk about goals a lot, we talk about habits a lot, but this is something that's very important when it comes to achieving our higher potential, which is what this show is all about, right? Finding ways in life that we can be healthier, we can be happier, we can live more abundant, and we can just go through this life without as much stress, depression, pain, tension, right? We want to go through this life with ease and with bliss and with happiness and laughter. So that's why I love to talk about goals a lot because we all have them, right? No matter if you wrote them down, no matter if they're big, they're small, we all have things in our life that we're trying to achieve, and you just might not call it a goal, but it probably is, right? And the specific part of goals that I wanted to talk about today was, like I said, something that is holding you back from achieving them if it's something that you've been working on for so long. And for the sake of complexity, I'm going to be talking about fitness and health specifically today as we use this example and analogies throughout the conversation, just because it relates so much and I have this pop up a lot in my life. So, when we're setting goals, a lot of times what we do is we immediately go to something that we're lacking in life. So, for example, in the health and fitness realm, if someone wants to lose weight, that's their goal. They think that they're lacking health and abundance in that way. Well, they might be, but that's what their head goes to. Hey, what am I lacking in? Well, I'm lacking in my self image, in um, health numbers at the doctors. So I think I want to lose weight. That's my goal. All right. That's how we set it, right? We're lacking in that area. So we want to lose weight, right? So my point in today's discussion and conversation is the fact that when you are thinking about something or your goal in the terms of lack, you are never going to get it. And I know you might think like, oh, if I have to lose weight, like that is a goal. That's what I should set it as. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. That's fine for it to be a goal, but I'm going to break down the thought patterns and what kind of happens as people pursue these goals and why it sabotages us to achieving that goal in the long run, right? So thinking about losing weight, right? If every day you wake up and you're like, I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I have to go to the gym so I can lose weight. I have to eat this meal so that I can lose weight. What you're doing is telling the universe that you are you overweight, you have all this weight to lose. Like you're telling the universe and everyone around you the opposite of what you actually want, right? You're talking about the lack of it rather than the abundance of something in your life, right? Like if you're saying lose weight, you're acting as if you don't have that ability to do it. You're acting as if you don't have health inside of you. If you use the money analogy, you might say, I want to make $100,000. I need money. Or let's use debt. Like, I want to remove debt. I want to get rid of debt. I want to get rid of debt. And all you're talking about is debt. So how are you ever going to get yourself into a position of financial freedom and abundance if all you're thinking about is debt? So the same thing goes for weight loss and for your health. When all you're thinking about is losing weight, losing weight, losing weight, you're actually sending out the wrong message and you're sending out the opposite of what you really want, which is to feel fit, feel confident, um, be at a certain body fat percentage, whatever it might be at a certain weight, but you're looking at it in the opposite terms of what you actually want, and you don't realize that that is sabotaging you. So that's why I always tell people to be thinking about the person you want to become or the attributes or the things that aren't so specific with the numbers so that we can live into that and it doesn't come off as a negative or in lack, right? So rather than saying I want to work out to, lose fat, I want to work out to grow muscle and to feel good, rather than saying I eat protein to lose fat, say I eat protein to build muscle, to fuel my body, to feel satiated, to feel good, right? So you're switching the story in which you're telling yourself, right? Because if every day you're talking about, I need to lose fat, I need to lose fat, all you're thinking about is being heavy, right? All you're thinking about is the fat on your body. And we want to think about the feeling of feeling good and having high energy and having a positive, mindset and all of those other things. So when it comes to not just setting the goal, right? When it comes to living up to those habits and those standards throughout the day, it needs to come from a place of becoming that higher version of yourself. Now, I know I talk about this a lot, but it's why it's so important, right? Your current identity has this story, and the story that you're telling yourself and the things that you believe in have given you your current outcomes. So if you're in a place where you want to lose weight and you haven't been able to do it, right? And you're trying to make this change in your health and it's been there for so long, that's because you have this story of who you are, right? Whether it was ingrained at a young age through trauma, through repetition of friends or what you saw on the internet, whatever you have absorbed and learned and been a part of, it has been ingrained into who you are as a person, and it's your story of your identity. So when we say we want something and it's the opposite of what we currently have and we don't believe it, right? We believe, hey, we're heavy. I want to burn fat. That story is going to keep you stuck in that place until you switch it. So this is why I talk about becoming a higher version of ourselves. So you're not only elevating your state and growing, you are shedding that old version of you. You no longer are believing that story of I'm heavy, this is what it is. These foods make me heavy, these foods make me skinny, right? You're changing the narrative in your head that's keeping you stuck in that loop of negativity, of coming from lack and feeling desperate to get out of it. But when you come from desperation and lack, you're not going to get it, right? Like imagine you're single and you're dating, right? And if I was single and I wanted a girl to date me and I was like, please, would you go out with me? Please. No girl is going to, no girl is going to date that because you feel desperate. You're coming from lack and that's not attractive, right? Like no one wants to be a part of that. Well, the same thing goes with your goals. If you're like, please, can I make more money or please can I lose this fat? Like that's what you sound like to the universe, right? And I'm not trying to make this whole episode about like the law of attraction or the universe and what you believe in. It's just the truth, right? So when you're coming across that way, it's pushing against it. But if you flip the script and you are like back in the dating world, right? Like if I was a confident man who knew what I stood for and I worked hard and I just did what I needed to do every single day, well, then when you ask a girl to go out or something like that, they might even come up to you. It's a whole different story, right? Now it's being attracted to you because your energy is bigger, right? You know, you're projecting out that you are a confident person in what you're doing and who you're becoming and who you are as a man. So then your mate will come easier. Well, the same thing goes for the losing weight analogy, right? The same thing applies. So if you are coming from desperation, like I just want to lose this weight, it doesn't come off right. But if you say, hey, what are the attributes of someone who is healthy, of who is confident, who has a good nutritious diet, and you start to mimic that, well, then you can have confidence in what you're doing and who you're becoming. And it's no longer coming from lack. It's coming from a place of belief and of confidence, right? And another thing that you can do is you not use I am statements. Like I'm not saying you have to sit there in the mirror and say, I am confident, I am healthy, right? Like that works for some people, but I'm not saying you need to do that. What I would say is use the I am as the belief, right? Don't, if your goal is to burn fat, lose weight, get healthier, you don't have to say, I am healthy. You just have to figure out, like I said, what are the things that someone who is healthy or at your goal weight does, and then step into that, right? Like you're going to work out because it makes you feel good, because that person does that, right? If you're looking up to the folks who have what you want and you're emulating that, well, then you are that, right? You may not have hit your goal yet, but you are that person. And that is what's going to change the story and the narrative in your head to shed that old person and those old beliefs. So, like I said, if you're someone who wants to lose weight and you have a coach or you're mimicking someone online, you see someone, hey, they're really fit, they look like how I want to, and you're like, well, what do they do? Well, they wake up at this time, they make sure they get a walk in every day, they go to the gym, they eat in a negative amount of calories and a calorie deficit, they hit this amount of protein, they're trying these types of foods, and you start doing that. Well, now you're becoming the person who is that, rather than saying I want to lose weight, you're just becoming a higher level of yourself. And that is also kind of like, not like fake it till you make it, right? That's what that means, right? You don't just post about random stuff or tell people you're doing something. No, you are actually doing the habits and the traits of someone who has what you want until that becomes a reality. Now we are stepping into our abundance. We're moving towards our goal instead of just doing things out of lack. Like, oh, I need to go to work out because I don't like the way I look, or you know what I mean? Like you're not doing those things because of the lack thereof it. You're doing it to shed the old story, to shed the old person, and to step into the expansion of your being. And that's where I'm really going here, right? Everything that we are doing is evolving, is momentum, is growth, right? So if we can have our goals set and we can have our habits and our standards set throughout the day as something as growth, as stepping into the new version, as becoming someone and removing that old story, well, then the goals that we've set out to will be achieved by default. So I hope I'm not talking in circles here, guys, but the main point I wanted to get across is the fact that if you have goals and you haven't seemed to achieve them for a long time, years, I'm not talking a couple weeks because nothing comes like that quickly. That's something as big as, changing your entire life and losing a certain amount of weight. It's not going to happen that quickly. But if you've been doing something for years and years and haven't been able to shift it or to make any progress, you got to look at your thoughts. You got to look at your mindset and see, am I coming from a place of lack? And then use those techniques of embodying someone who has what you want and creating those standards and those habits in their life so that you're coming from a place of, how can I become this person? How can I become my higher level of myself and continue to grow towards that identity rather than that goal? Because now you're going to be stepping into that new person rather than trying to push yourself away from the lack of the goal, right? And I'm going to leave you with just this one last thought, right? It all comes from your thoughts. And I know I've talked about episodes in this in the past, but start by analyzing it, realize where your head's going when it comes to getting what you want, and if you're there or not, and if it comes off as negative, because that'll be the first step in switching the trajectory of hitting your goals and stepping into that new identity of yourself. So I hope you guys can take this lesson, start analyzing those things, see what story you're telling yourself. And if you have learned something or you enjoyed this episode, please like it, subscribe, share it with a friend, or give me feedback, right? I always like to communicate with people on how I can make these episodes more effective, talk about topics that you want to hear, and hopefully bring on some cool guests that are going to help you guys learn more and live more optimally in this life. So until next time, guys, enjoy the rest of your day and go crush it out there.